So in this lesson, we're actually going to create our first image tags using the IMG and SRC combination. First thing the book asks us to do, as it does with most of our lessons, is open each of the files that we'll be using and then rename them appropriately. So we'll open the first file and then we'll save it as index.html. We'll open the second file and save it as rooms.html. Then we'll be asked to move on to the style sheet, and we're going to call that styles.css. And again, this should all be really familiar to you, but we're going to do it for this first set of lessons in week 7 as well. Now, once we've renamed each of the files, they're going to ask us to go ahead, again, as we usually do, and edit the comment. So for the author, put your own name, and for the date, put today's date. And what I'm going to do is I don't manually enter this information on each of the 3 files. I'll go in, enter it on one, copy it from that one, then go to each of the individual files. Once I've copied from the index file, I'm going to go and I'm going to paste it into the rooms file and then make sure I've saved it. Again, I use Control S to save. That's just a keyboard shortcut. Then we'll go into the styles file and do the same thing. Paste our name and our date, today's date, and do a Control S. Next thing I'm going to do is go back to the index file and start working on actually implementing some images. We're going to replace the header that's currently in the file, which is just a series of words, and we're going to put a logo up at the front of the file. We're going to start typing in IMG SRC, and then remember, after SRC, we have to put the location of the file. The particular file we're going to use is called lakeland.gif, and that's in a directory called images, so we want to specify the specific directory. And then we're going to put some width and height parameters. It's going to be 659 pixels wide. We don't have to specify pixels because that's the measurement that's used by default, and it's 165 wide. Now, once we get this in place, we can go ahead and save this file and look at it. Before we do that, we're going to add an alt tag. Alt tags are very important. They help in a lot of ways related to accessibility. Someone who maybe cannot see the imagery can get this information through their screen reader. Also, it helps with search engines to understand a little more about what the image is. Once we've saved, we look at it in our browser and it looks right. We have replaced the header on the top, which was just text, with the Lakeland Reads Bed and Breakfast logo. So now we'll go on to the next step, and there are 2 bullets that have been built into the footer, the address line on the page, and we're actually going to go ahead and replace those bullets with an image called flourish.gif. You'll notice here the flourish.gif image is actually in the images folder as well. So we need to specify the folder as the value related to source and the image name. And we're going to specify a height and a width of 16. Notice that your book asks you to put an alt tag in there, but there's no description. It's a blank, empty quotes. And that's okay because the description isn't really important. It's simply a bullet in this case. It's not going to help someone maybe who can't see it to understand what it's there for. We're going to copy that bullet into that code into the other place where it belongs. Then look at it in your browser. You notice towards the bottom here, between the address and the city, there is that image, and between the image, the city, and the phone number as well. That's serving as a visual separator. Next thing we're going to do is go to the style sheet, and we're going to make some adjustments to the style sheet. It's going to ask you to find a specific area in the style sheet. Again, I always like to use the find, so I go do a Control F, put the keyword in there. They said to look for the reset area, so we'll do that. We found the reset area, and we're going to add a new selector and rule. create a rule for images, or the IMG tag, and just create the max width, the width, and the height rules. Remember, at the end of each rule, you've been doing this a lot with style sheets, make sure that you put the semicolon at the end. We're asked to make one more adjustment for the area where we reset the borders, padding, and margin to 0. We're going to add the image tag. I try to do these in alphabetical order. It just says, in addition to the A tag, the article tag, the body, the div, we're going to apply these rules to the image tag as well. Next, we're going to go to index. We're going to grab the changes we made and apply them to the rooms file. And we're going to do that not by manually retyping them in. We're actually going to copy what we made as far as changes in the index file and paste it into the rooms file. So the first thing we'll do is replace the header, and then we're going to replace the bullets. We'll go ahead and copy the flourish.gif tag from the index file, and we'll make sure that we'll paste it to replace both the bullets in the rooms.html file. And then we'll take a look at the rooms.html file, and hopefully it will look as we're expecting, and the way we're expecting it is to be a page with a replacement graphical header, image header in place of the text, and at the bottom you will see the bullets have been replaced with the little flourish logos.